So many years ago, I had the opportunity of going across the border, and I was sitting with a very well-known journalist from the other country. And they asked me a question at that time. They said, how many billion-dollar companies do you have in Pakistan versus us? At that time, I could not name a single billion-dollar company in Pakistan. Now, of course, we have several billion-dollar companies, but not that many. Right? We don't have the Tatas, we don't have Infosys, we don't have these kind of companies in Pakistan. And the reason is very simple. One is to do with ambition, one is to do with vision, one is to have the environment and the ecosystem to help grow the business, and we don't have those things in place. In 2006, when I was at LUMS, the first ever training program for family-owned businesses was launched in Pakistan, and I was one of the ones who created the program. And in 2006, in that particular program, we had virtually every major family attend the program because it was LUMS, because it was such a good topic. And since then, there has been a lot more awareness, and now many universities, LUMS, IBA, others are all running similar programs. But that seed was planted back in 2006. Since then, more and more businesses are aware. They are actually wanting to think about succession. And I personally have obviously helped many businesses in developing the succession plans and making sure that the new generation blends into the business. The idea is to build a business that's sustainable, that lasts for a long time, not just 2 years, 3 years, and so on. Family businesses are quite simple as long as there are very few people involved. If I started a business and I'm the only one, and maybe my wife and I are running a business, it's relatively straightforward. But if we expand the business, so my brother and his family also join the business, and then maybe a cousin also joins in, or as the business grows, the next generation comes in, the brothers might have been very close. Now you've got the cousins, what's called a cousin consortium coming into play. So we have to have a set of rules and guidelines according to which we're going to operate the business. What I find with a lot of family businesses is the older generation still wants to keep their control. They want to control the checkbook. They want to make sure that the younger generation doesn't get too much freedom. And that actually creates resentment, anxiety amongst the younger generation. The second thing is that a lot of families still have not come to this realization that you can be the owners of the business, but you don't have to manage and run the business. The management and ownership has to be separated. You have to have best people to run the company, and quite often they will not be the family members. The family members should accept the fact that yes, they own the business, they can step back and let professional managers run the business. So that part and that shift in mindset, when you start thinking about the longer term, really is something which gives me hope for optimism. Because when organizations, whether they're large or small, start thinking about building a sustainable organization, so a lot of their decision-making changes. When the way you treat your staff, the way you engage with your suppliers, the way you look after your employees all start to change, because you're thinking not just for the next 6 months, the 12 months, but in fact, you're thinking about the next 5, 10, 20 years. I was born in Pakistan, but when I was quite young, my family decided to move to Australia, and I must have been in my early teens. And so most of my education then was completed in Australia. And I went on to do a degree in economics and accounting, and then become a chartered accountant. Worked for the big accounting firms for many years. And then I had this burning passion to do my own thing. So at the age of 27 or so, I started my own firm, which initially only had 2 people. And then gradually the firm developed and grew and became quite successful. And I did that for almost 15 years or so. When I went to Australia, I was quite young, and then I had no exposure to Pakistan from a corporate world perspective, or in terms of even living here. So the only reason why I came to Pakistan was I was given an opportunity to teach at LUMS. While at LUMS, I was also the director of SME Center, which then became the Entrepreneurship and SME Center. So I had a lot of interaction with business owners, and some big, some small. And through that, I discovered that businesses in Pakistan were really struggling in lots of areas. They don't have their systems well defined. A lot of businesses don't have proper management structures. all of those things that the West has probably developed and evolved, but Pakistan was way behind. And while LUMS is a great institution and the students were very good, it was wonderful to teach there, gave me a very quick exposure to Pakistan and Pakistani corporate landscape. Before you know it, I was working and interacting with some of the well-known business people. So I had a very quick learning experience. One company that I have been very impressed with, I have worked with them for almost 15-16 years. I've written a case about them for the World Bank, which is taught in universities all over the world, is Stylo Shoes. Stylo Shoes were one of my first clients to engage me for a succession planning project. And that was in 2007. At that time, I did the whole family constitution, the shareholders agreement, and their strategic plan. And since then, I've had a lot of interactions with them. And they have told me that every single thing in that strategic plan, for example, was implemented. And they take pride in the fact that whatever we agreed and discussed was done. And similarly, now it's been many, many years, the younger generation is in the business. They have diversified, they've gone into different areas, but they've not had any, touch wood, family disputes. The rules are very clear. The daughters are allowed to work in the business, the sons are allowed to work, the rights are very clearly understood. And some of the things that I've done with them were actually quite groundbreaking, which other companies are not doing. Despite the ups and downs Pakistan has had recently, there are investors in Pakistan. There are funds which are actually wanting to invest in mid-sized companies which are wanting to expand and grow to the next level. And those funds are willing to invest. However, before they would consider investing, the companies need to get their house in order. They need to make sure, if it's a family-owned business, the succession issues are sorted out. Simple things like employment agreements for family members are sorted out. There is a board of directors. There is a governance structure. There are committees and everything. Because when a fund is going to invest, they need assurance that the business is being well managed, well governed. And so it's not just about the G part, which is the governance. Then they want to be assured that the environmental factors are being considered. The employees are being treated fairly. So from a social perspective. So there is appetite for funds to invest in Pakistani companies, not startups so much, but in mid-sized companies which have a growth ambition, which want to grow to the next level. Capital would be available, but you need to have your house in order. Without that, they will not invest.